Let me tell you a little bit about my story and my career path to date. So as an engineer, when I graduated, I looked for a job in a company, and I think many engineering students see engineering as a vocation and really strongly want to work in industry, but many don't have a really good idea about what industry is like. So I always wanted to work in industry. I looked for a job. At that time I was studying in the UK, so I looked for an employer in the UK, either in the food industry or chemicals industry. Those kind of companies were advertising. I was interested in a graduate program, and but in the end I took a job with a company that was a subsidiary of a very big multinational company. But the business of this subsidiary was very different from the parent. So I went thinking I was going into a major supplier of gases, and I ended up working in medical products, which was very interesting, but not in my career plan. So I worked for them for several years, and during that time, medical is a really interesting industry. It can be very difficult to get products out the end. It was a startup company, and they had a lot of quality problems, and quality being the major thing in anything to do with medical industry. And over the years that I worked for them, I came to the idea that the quality problems that they had was because nobody understood the materials that they were using. They were making their products out of plastics, and the plastics sometimes would shrink or they wouldn't fit, and this month they had a good fit, but last month it was a bad fit. Exactly the same process. So I think it's something in materials. So I decided to do a master's in plastics, because I thought there's very few people who know anything about plastics at that time. So I did. I looked for a master's in plastics. At that time there were several universities offering masters in plastics. And at the same time, looking for my master's, I was offered a PhD position, which was salaried. And I thought, salary for a PhD? That sounds good. And so I took up the PhD position and got a salary higher than what I'd been earning for my multinational company, which I thought was good, and did a PhD and thought, one day I might like to go to university and teach in university, and to do that I think a PhD would be useful. So I already had that plan in mind then, to have it as an option. Yet after I finished my PhD, I went back to work for a different large multinational company that needed me because I had this, by then, very rare knowledge in plastics. And I worked for them for 5 years, and that was a fabulous job. I worked in Germany, learning new languages, visiting plants. The work was very interesting. But there came a time when I always wanted to come back to Australia. I'm originally Australian. And I thought, I want to come back to Australia. I came back to Australia and looked for a job in industry, and found that there weren't that many opportunities in industry for an engineer who'd worked in research for a major multinational, but there were several jobs advertised in the universities. So I saw a job at RMIT, and I thought, I think this job was written for me. And I got the job to teach into a polymer engineering degree, was at RMIT at that time, in the chemical engineering department. And that was 18 years ago, and here I am very happily still working for RMIT. I love working in the tertiary sector, really builds on my industry experience. For an engineer, it works very well to have industry experience and to teach. The students really appreciate that. And so that's my career story.